KHL's second best league in the world.
Can you argue with these characteristics?
Well, where am I?
If you see Grigory Panin on the street, will you shake his hand?
Really good. I hope I look like that when I'm 39.
It is said that Russian women are the most beautiful in the world. Brandon, at one of the hockey websites, I read such information about you. Brandon Kozun, a diminutive winger with great stick handling and playmaking ability. His lack of size can hurt him in physical battles. Can you argue with these characteristics, or you can confirm that everything is correct?
I mean, I would say that it's a pretty accurate assessment. I think anyone can say that because I'm small, I'll lack in physical battles, but I think that's pretty accurate.
Also, I read that Dave Lowry called you the most dynamic player in Calgary Hitmen at this period of time. And Randy Carlyle said, Kozun is a speedster and he's a smart hockey player. And why such a player with such characteristics, such a good player to my mind, doesn't play in NHL?
Well, you know, sometimes the opportunities don't really align in the way that it's supposed to, or you know, there's a little bit of circumstance involved and everything. But I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. I get treated pretty well in here as well, so it's kind of my focus right now. I try not to think about things that I can't control.
To my mind, your hockey style is not typical Canadian. To my mind, it is more like Soviet style. You like to control the puck, you like to find some situations on the ice to look for your partners, to improve the position. So not like typical Canadian, but like Soviet. Is this league more suitable for you?
No, I'm not sure if it's exactly more suitable. I've been lucky enough to play with some good players, play on some good teams, and get some very good opportunity. To my credit, I've been able to do well with it. Obviously with the bigger ice over here and the ability I have to skate, it helps me, of course. But I'm not sure if it's just because the league is more suitable to my game.
I looked at your statistics, at your career, and I see that you moved step by step from junior leagues to AHL, and finally you reached NHL and played about 20 games here. So then you left the league. So 2 years passed after this. Can you tell, looking backwards, that it was a right decision, or you were not right at that time?
I would say it was the right decision. At that point in my career, I got an opportunity to go to a team in Jokerit that was very interested in me and was willing to give me the opportunity and the development I needed in my game. I kind of felt like when I was coming to make that decision, I was kind of bouncing around. I was playing in different roles. You know, when I was with Toronto, I was playing 6-7 minutes a night. And I felt like it was kind of time for me to go somewhere where they were going to play me. You know, I always knew that I could have success over here in this league. And I liked the opportunity. I talked to Yari Curry, and I liked what he had to say to me, and I thought that it was the right move for me to develop as a hockey player.
So it was Jari Kurri who called you and invited to play in Jokerit? Yes. And do you like the progress in your game here? You played 2 years, and can you compare yourself in AHL, in NHL, and right here? Are you now more stronger?
For sure. I would say I'm a much better player now than I was 2 years ago. it's hard to compare because there's confidence and aspects to your game like that come as you play more and you have some success and you kind of get that swagger back a little bit. That was kind of something that I was lacking a little bit. I think that I was drafted by Los Angeles and they're a very good team. They won 2 cups,
Two
sorry,
cups.
when I was there, and it was difficult. It was difficult to get called up, and even with the success you had in the American League, whose spot was I going to take at that point when they were winning? I mean, they weren't going to break up a winning team. I think that you kind of start to get a little down on yourself, and you start to kind of lose parts of your game. And you try and mold yourself into what they want, but at the same time you kind of lose what you are as a player. And I needed to kind of come over here and kind of get that back, kind of get my game back and my swagger and my confidence, and start playing the way that I was meant to play.
You said that you were not satisfied with your time on the ice in NHL. I read that you called yourself a 6-minute guy. So, but in NHL there are a lot of players with such time on the ice, and not many of them leave NHL for another leagues. Why were you so brave to leave NHL, to leave United States, to go to unknown countries such as Finland and to play in Russian league?
It's difficult when you're playing 6-7 minutes a night and you're trying to move up the depth chart to get more ice time. It's very hard to establish yourself in the NHL when you're playing those kind of minutes. Especially for me, I consider myself more of a skilled player, and I think it's important for me to play in all situations and be a power play guy and get the minutes I need and play with skilled players. I think that it was very difficult playing 6 minutes a night and trying to move myself up the depth chart that way. I didn't see myself improving as a player. I thought that the better route for me would be to come here and play a lot and, like I said, get that confidence back and improve as a player. I don't know what the future holds for me. Maybe one day I'll go back, but I think if you look at me now versus 2 years ago, I'm a much better player for me.
I checked the roster of Maple Leafs at the season 2K14, 2K15, and I saw 2 names on the right wing, the first line, the second line. It was Phil Kessel and Richard Panik from Slovakia. Of course, we all know who is Phil Kessel now. He is Stanley Cup winner and so on, but the statistics of Panik is not so good, so I can't say that he's a right man for the second line, for the right wing to play many time on the ice. Maybe you had an opportunity to stay in Toronto and to try yourself also the next season, because Phil Kessel and Richard Panik also left Toronto at the same time with you. So maybe the place was empty and you could take the first line or the second line.
Yeah, Toronto had expressed to me that they weren't interested in re-signing me, so Toronto wasn't even an option.
And did you ask your agent maybe to find some other variants in NHL?
Honestly, I signed pretty soon in Jokerit. I think I signed in maybe May, and you can't even talk to teams until July 1st in the NHL, so it kind of, I just liked the opportunity and I jumped on it early, and like I said, I felt like it was the best move for me.
And did you ask an advice maybe from your teammates or from someone about KHL, about Jokerit?
Yeah, you obviously try and do your research when you're coming to a new league in a new country, and you hear things about the KHL and you want to see how situations are, but it's the same signing anyway. I mean, you always want to kind of do your homework before you're going to sign someone. But you talk with people that are close to you and the people that you trust in your inner circle, you discuss it with them and you come to a conclusion. That conclusion for me was to sign with Joker.
Did you watch some maybe YouTube videos about Jokerit, maybe about the city, Helsinki, maybe about the league, or reading some internet news about this, or just talking with people?
Yeah, I think that's all part of the homework. You try and kind of do as much research as you can. Obviously, you're not going to know what it's like until you actually get there. But yeah, talking to people and like you said, doing stuff like that helped me come to that decision.
If I understand you correct, the level of KHL is higher than AHL, yes? It was one of the reasons why you tried yourself here, because to return back to AHL from Maple Leafs, it was a step back, yes? And to move here, it is some kind of a step forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty well known that the KHL's the second best league in the world. There's some world-class talent here. Lots of guys go from this league to the NHL and have success. For me, the AHL would have been a little bit of a step backwards. I think it would have kind of halted my development a little bit. And I felt like the best thing for me to get better as a player was to come to this league.
And what about the salary? Can you compare your salary in AHL, in Manchester or Toronto, and in Jokerit? Is it maybe twice higher, or maybe it is equal, or your salary here is even lower than in America?
You know what, I would say that thinking of the salary wasn't my first priority. It was more so about playing and getting better. But at the end of the day, you do have to look after yourself. I mean, it is your career, and you only have so many years to do it. But you know what, they pay us well enough, and we're lucky enough to live a pretty nice life, so it's a perk.
I look at the NHL and at KHL, and I see that a lot of players in America try to sign a contract, a long-term contract, 8 years, 9 years, and you sign your contract only for 1 year. 1 year in Jokerit, then 1 year here, then you resign. So what is the reason why you don't want to have a stable contract for several years, maybe at one place?
Yeah, for me, I don't mind the 1 year contracts. I'm young, so Yaroslav owns my rights. But I would say that you never know what's going to happen with your family or anything back home, and you never know if you want to go back to North America. So for me, the 1 year contracts have kind of been an open door, just in case I want to go back to the NHL. And I mean, so far I've wanted to stay here, so I keep signing. But it's kind of something where I just kind of keep it open, and I just focus on 1 year at a time.
Okay. This year we know that NHL cancelled the participation of its players in Winter Olympics. And what is your attitude towards this decision, and what do you think about the level of the tournament? Now it will be maybe just from KHL players and European players, and not with usual stars from NHL.
Yeah, I think the fan base was disappointed. The Olympics is the biggest stage, and everyone wanted to see the best players on the big stage. I mean, there's going to be no Sidney Crosby. There's going to be no Connor McDavid. There's going to be no Alexander Ovechkin. But at the same time, this is very good hockey. I think people are going to be pretty surprised with the caliber. There's very good players here, lots of players who could be playing in the NHL and having success in the NHL. So it's a benefit for me. I wouldn't be in the mix for Canada if the NHL players were going, and now I have a chance. And the opportunity to play in the Olympics and play for your country is a feeling that would be indescribable.
And do AHL players have an opportunity to participate in Winter Olympics, or only European Championships?
I think the rule was anyone signed to an NHL deal couldn't participate. So if you play in the American Hockey League on an American League deal, then you
Mhm.
could. Which is,
So, what is your opinion about Team Canada roster? Will it be totally from Europe, or some guys from North America will join the team?
you know what? I'm not too sure how they're going to build a team. I don't really make those decisions, but um, if I had to guess, I think it would be mostly players playing in Europe.
Mhm. And what do you think about the attitude of hockey fans in Canada? Will their interest be the same as it was in past Winter Olympics, or will it go down?
It's tough to tell. I know how Canadians are. Canadians love the game, and I think anytime that you go to the Olympics, the country's going to back you. And there is not going to have that superstardom there. You're not going to have those guys, those household names. But I guess that leaves the door open for new guys to make themselves household names.
I know that last season you joined Team Canada at Deutschland Cup, and this summer you joined Team Canada at Sochi tournament. So for you, was it a kind of chance to sign your name for the Winter Olympics for Team Canada roster, or was it just a good time to spend some holidays maybe with your countrymen, or what was your feeling when you received an offer to join the team?
Well, I think at this point everything's an evaluation. They're obviously trying to look at players and evaluate players and see who they would like to make that roster. So when you do go to those tournaments, I mean, first of all, anytime you put on the Canadian sweater, there's a certain expectation. The one thing about hockey in Canada is we're expecting to win. Hockey Canada always expects to win. So when you go to these tournaments, you don't want to let them down, and you want to show your best. And I think that's the least you can do is go there and give them your best.
So you played 2 tournaments. How do you feel? Were you successful, you personally, at these tournaments?
Yeah, it was a good experience. Anytime you get to put on a crest, it's a great feeling. Personally, it was good for me. I thought that I did what I needed to do, and it was nice seeing some other Canadians and kind of getting a feel for guys you could play with, or just having that opportunity to show yourself in front of the management of Hockey Canada, and ultimately leading to a chance to maybe play in the Olympics.
And did you play a Deutschland Cup with Max Talbot in one line, or you played in different lines?
We played together.
So does Team Canada management looks at you like a chain, you and Max, a ready chain for the team?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a question you'd have to ask them. I just kind of show up to the rink and do my job and try not to focus on things that I can't control.
I think that not too many Stanley Cup champions will participate at Winter Olympics in Korea, and Max is a Stanley Cup champion. So what is your opinion? Can he be the captain of this Canada team?
I think his track record speaks for itself. He's obviously had some accolades that are very impressive. He has the leadership qualities to be a captain. If they decide to choose him to captain the team, then by no means would it be bad. I think that he has the ability to do that and would do a good job.
And do you think it is an advantage that you play with him, or it doesn't matter if you played in different teams in KHL? So you will have equal chances to be involved in Team Canada?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's an advantage or a disadvantage. I don't know what the management is thinking on that. Like I said, I just kind of try and focus on what I can control, and I'm lucky enough to play with Max, and he brings things to our line and our team that help me a lot. And it's like I said, his track record speaks for itself. So I'm lucky enough to be able to play with him.
Do you discuss Winter Olympics with your teammates in Yaroslavl, with Stefan, with Jakub, Max, and Petri?
Yeah, you know, you discuss the opportunity. I think it's obviously very far away, and you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. It's not even September yet, so the first thing you have to do is make the team, and then you can start talking about that stuff. But the opportunity to be there with all those guys, potentially all of us playing there, would be a pretty cool thing.
So you think that all of first line in Yaroslavl will be at Winter Olympics?
I mean, I hope so. For our case and for the guys, I mean, you cheer for them, right? It's kind of more than just teammates. We play together all year, and you kind of grow a bond. So you cheer for them. You want them to have success, and hope all the best for them.
In Yaroslavl, you played with two Stanley Cup winners, with two Stanley Cup champions, Max Talbo and Andrei Loktionov. Do you think these two guys and other Stanley Cup champions are different in their behavior in comparison with usual players without any titles? I mean, in usual life and on the ice.
Well, I think with experience, it obviously brings a certain aspect to the game and to the team. It's very difficult to win a Stanley Cup, and for those two guys who have been through it and saw what it took, it's great experience for our team, especially because we have a very young team. And I think the younger guys can kind of look up to those guys to kind of ask questions and see what it took, and I think that only helps our team.
And what is the attitude of the teammates for these guys, for Maxim and for Andrei?
Well, I think you have to respect it. Anytime you win a championship, there's a reason. Those guys were part of it, and they did their parts, and you have to respect it. And like I said, that experience that they bring to the team is so important for us because we are young, and it's a great learning tool for the young guys to kind of help themselves improve, because that's the goal. Everyone wants to win. When you have that experience to help you and kind of push you in what you need to do to get there, then it's always going to help.
Do they have more respect than others or not?
I don't know if they have more respect. Obviously, you respect it. And I think you respect them as players too. They've accomplished more than just Stanley Cup. So they're veteran guys, and they've accomplished a lot in their career so far. So yeah, of course you have to respect them.
And is it usual situation in Lokomotiv that some young guys come to you or maybe to Max and ask something about some hockey tricks, maybe about some secrets, or they just look without any questions?
I think our team's a little bit of lookers. Maybe the language barrier kind of, guys maybe are scared to kind of ask questions, but we have a good team, good group of guys, and we get along pretty well. So it's, anytime anyone would come to me and ask me for advice on anything, I'm always there to help. And I think vice versa, if I did the same with someone else, they would do the same.
I know that in AHL you played in Manchester Monarchs together with Andrei Loktionov. He even made some assists to you, and you scored some goals assisted by him. So you played in one line for some time, some period of time. When you came here in Yaroslavl, did you try to play together with him in one line, or it was a decision of the coach just to put you inside the line with Maxim and Petri?
We played together a little bit at the start of the year, and then they kind of put our line together maybe 10 or 11 games in, and we seemed to have pretty good chemistry, and it kind of stuck. So that's kind of how it worked out. It wasn't really what am I better with him or him. It just kind of worked out that they put us together. We had really good chemistry, and the team was winning. So you don't really want to mess with something that works.
And were you a little bit envious that Andrei had an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup and you did not even have a chance to play for Los Angeles at this period?
No, it's not his fault that he got that opportunity. I would never hold that against someone. I'm happy for him. I've played with Lochte a couple of times now, and he's a good human being. He had the opportunity to do that, and wish him all the best. And I'm happy that he was able to accomplish that.
Do you think he will be successful this time?
I hope so. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but like those other guys, you cheer for the guys that you played with. I mean, when we had a pretty long run last year, and that kind of pulls you closer as a team and as individuals.
Together with Loktionov, some other players left Lokomotiv, and the team did not sign any famous hockey players. So we have only some young guys, some unknown persons. And to your mind, who of them will be the main star, the main Rocky star?
Right, it's difficult to determine who's going to be the star.
And maybe whose season will be the best from these new young players?
Yeah, that's complicated too. I mean, it's very hard to predict. I think that we have some young players that can take another step to their game, and we're going to need them. If we want to win, we're going to need them to take another step. And there's some teams that got better this summer, and we kind of stayed the same, which is okay. I think that the management believes in some of the younger players to get better and kind of take more of a role. And I'm looking forward to see how it goes. They are younger guys, but they have the ability and they have the potential to help our team and kind of put us over the top.
I think that the first line in KHL biggest teams, it is like a sign of quality. So I mean that, for example, Andrei Loktionov left for LA, some guys from St. Petersburg left for NHL, and from Magnitogorsk and other teams. So I mean that if you play in the starting line, the first line, it means that you are ready for NHL. Are you going to return back to NHL? Do you think your level now is enough to play in first and second line in NHL?
It's so hard to determine. I obviously am a confident guy and have confidence in my abilities and believe in myself, but it's very difficult to kind of get too far ahead of yourself. Maybe it's something that's in the back of your mind that there is the chance that I would go back, but at this moment in time, I'm focusing on my team here in Lokomotiv. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. You kind of have to stay in the moment and kind of take it one day at a time, because if you get too far ahead of yourself, it's just going to hurt you.
And did you receive any offers from NHL this summer, maybe last summer?
I signed so early that it didn't even get to that point. I think I maybe signed in February, so didn't even get the opportunity to talk to any other teams. I like the opportunity that I have here in Yaroslavl. I like what we're building. I get treated very well here, and there wasn't even thought in my mind to go back. The only thought was to come back to Yaroslavl.
I know that you began skating when you were 3 years old, and you looked at your older brothers. So can you tell me what is their success? Are they successful hockey players, or they just retired from hockey?
Yeah, they played when they were younger, and then they got older and they did their own thing. They didn't take hockey anywhere, but like being their younger brother, I always looked up to them and wanted to be like them. It was only natural for me to start playing.
We all know that Hollywood has a lot of movies about sport. Most of them are about boxing, about American football, baseball, and not too many movies about hockey. Do you know what is the reason? It is a dynamic game. A lot of things can happen during a game, but what can we see? Which movie?
Yeah, there's a couple movies out there. Maybe not as many as some of the other sports, but I think hockey kind of gets more and more popular every year. I think you really need to go to a game to really appreciate it. Just the pace of it in general it's an amazing thing.
Can you advise maybe some movie about hockey?
Well, I'm sure the Russian viewers won't like it very much, but I mean, Miracle is a pretty good movie.
Miracles?
It's called Miracle. It's about the U.S. beating Russia in 1980 Olympics. I'm sure the Russian viewers won't like that too much.
Are you superstitious? Do you have any traditions before you enter a skating rink? Maybe you should start with right leg, maybe some other traditions?
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious. I would say that I have a routine. I kind of stick to the routine, the same routine usually. But if I miss something in my routine, it's not going to ruin my game. So I wouldn't say I'm overly superstitious by any means.
If you see Grigory Panin on the street, will you shake his hand?
It's a complicated situation. You never want something like that to happen. I understand the heat of the moment and games are intense, but it is complicated. I'm sure he's not a bad human being, but at the same time, it was kind of not the greatest of moments for either of us.
I looked your statistics here in Russia, and both seasons, this season and previous season, you got major penalties for attacking into the head and the neck. So you are not a rough player. What is the reason? Why did you do these things, and how can you explain how it could happen?
I think that maybe in those situations wasn't trying to do it. It just kind of the way that the play happened. It happened maybe by accident. Like you said, I'm not a dirty player by any means. I play physical in my own way, but I'm by no means taking suspensions.
You have two passports, the passport of the United States and the Canadian. And when you played for junior Canadian team under 20, in the final you lost to the United States in overtime. Did you regret at this moment that you chose the wrong nation maybe, or which feelings did you have at this time?
No, there wasn't really regret because I don't think it was a very difficult decision to make anyway. My heart was always kind of with Canadian hockey, and right away I always knew that I wanted to be there. So it's obviously it wasn't the ending that I would have liked, but at the end of the day it was an unbelievable experience to be able to play for my country, and that's the most important at the end of the day.
And did you hesitate between the United States team or the Canadian team when you decided to play for them?
Like I said, I played a majority of my hockey growing up in Canada, and I felt more aligned to Canada than I did to the United States. It wasn't a very difficult decision for me.
And if there is no invitation from Canadian team and there is invitation from the United States, would you choose the United States team?
Well, I don't even think that's possible. I think because I've represented Canada, it's impossible to do. So I don't think that decision even is going to come about.
No, I mean in previous time. So when you were young, I think there was a choice. But if there is no choice, if there is only offer from the United States.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's difficult. That's a difficult question to answer because obviously you want to play in those tournaments, but at the same time, I do feel more Canadian. So that didn't happen. So I didn't have to make that decision. So I'll just leave it at that.
In Russia, in these two seasons, you always took part in all-star games. So do you feel yourself a star here?
I've been lucky enough to be able to go to those games, and those games are always fun. It's nice to kind of give back to the fans. The fans enjoy it. So The most important thing for me is kind of helping my own team. I try not to make it about myself or talking like I'm some big star. At the end of the day, the most important thing is winning championships, and for me, it's to try and help Yaroslava win a championship.
In one of your previous interviews, I read that you always answer your fans in Instagram, and I can confirm that you do. So now you have about 6,000 followers. If you have 60,000 or 600,000 followers, will you answer everyone?
You know, it's one thing that I've always thought was the right thing to do. If someone asks me a question and it takes me a little bit of time out of my day to answer to make someone else happy, well, that makes me happy. The most important thing at the end of the day is being a good human being, and I think that it's a very simple thing to do. You type a message and you respond. Obviously, it's very difficult to keep the dialogue going a long amount of time, but like I said, if someone reaches out to me or has a question, I'm always there to answer.
And did you ever refuse for the photo with a fan? Maybe to put a sign?
If I have time, I'll always sign or take a picture of the fan. And like I said, it takes a small amount of time out of my day to put a smile on someone's face, and I have no problem doing that.
Let's imagine if one day there is a team of the Earth and you are the captain of this team. Whom will you take to play together with you in the line? And your opponent should be some kind of guys from other planets.
I'll take my entire line of Yaroslava. We can stay together.
To your mind, who is now the best player in KHL and in NHL?
Oh, that's difficult. I'd say the NHL. I still think that probably Sidney Crosby. I mean, his accomplishments speak for themselves. I think that guy's done it all. You know, he's won in literally every event that he's played in. And for the KHL, there's lots of good players. I mean, Mosiakin's season last year was pretty impressive. You got to give him credit for that.
And what is your opinion about Pavel Datsyuk?
Another guy, accomplishments that long list, and you know he's kind of a little bit older in his career now, but he's such a smart player and he just plays the right way all the time.
Do you think he's really with a good strength to play at his 39 years old, or it is just a marketing step of St. Petersburg?
Looks pretty good to me out there. For 39, he looks really good. I hope I look like that when I'm 39.
Did you vote during last president elections in the United States?
I did not. I was. Where was I? I was here, so I'm not a registered voter, and I'm not a resident of the United States, so it's impossible to vote anyway.
And for you, does it matter who is the president of the United States, or it doesn't matter? You feel yourself Canadian?
Well, of course I am American too, and I'm proud to be American. I have family in the United States, and you obviously care. You don't want someone who doesn't know what they're doing running the country, but I'll keep my political views to myself on this one.
And do you know who is the head of Canada now?
Of course. What kind of question is that? But yeah. Another thing, it's difficult because you're not in the country, living in the country, but seems to be doing a pretty good job.
It is well known that your forefathers are from the Ukraine, and your surname also looks to be Ukrainian. Did you ever try to find your relatives maybe in Ukraine, or it was not interesting to you?
I have some relatives in Ukraine that my grandmother keeps in touch with a little bit, but I haven't been able to go to the Ukraine or be in touch with them at all. But I know that they're there, and it is interesting. It's your heritage. It's always interesting, I think.
How do you spend your free time here in Russia?
A lot of movies. Watch a lot of movies.
At home?
Yeah, drink a lot of coffee. You know, during the season, it's very when you're not playing, which isn't that often. I mean, I think if you look at our schedule this year, it's almost every other day. And when you're not playing or practicing, you kind of want to just get as much rest as you can. I think kind of simple things: relax, watch movies, go for coffee, maybe go for a walk.
And do you have any Russian friends here?
Yeah, I have some friends away from the rink, but you know, I'll see every once in a while. It's kind of nice. You kind of need that break a little bit to get away from all the guys all the time. But yeah, I do.
Do you like Russian cuisine? And do you like to visit Russian restaurants? Is it difficult for you? Because I think not everywhere you can speak English and they will understand what you want.
It hasn't been so far. I'm trying to learn the language every day. I'm getting better, and I'm understanding more and more. The Russian food, I'd say some of it I like, some of it I don't. But it's like every kind of food.
Can you cook something?
I can cook, yeah.
I mean Russian, from Russian cuisine.
Geez, I'm sure I could if I had the recipe. I'd be able to do it.
What music do you listen in your car? Is it American music or is it Russian music?
It's always English music, yeah.
So you don't like Russian music?
Not that I don't like it, but I'm a big fan of lyrics, and if I don't totally understand the language completely, it's a little difficult to listen to. But I hear Russian music all day at the rink, so when I get a chance to kind of listen in the car, it's always kind of the music, my English music I want to hear.
And what played in your car today when you came here?
Geez, I had a couple songs going. I have a playlist that goes on, or I'll put on the radio or something like that. I can't really remember anything in particular. It was kind of background noise.
I read that you call yourself a full-time tourist in Instagram. Did you have enough time to travel in Russia? And I mean, not looking from the window of the bus with your teammates, but to travel as a real tourist, because I think Russia is an interesting country for tourism.
Yeah, you know what? That's one part of the job that is so underrated for us, is that we get to travel so many places, and for me, I try and make sure that I don't take that for granted. I feel very lucky to be able to see all the places I get to see and travel the world. I think the number one builder of intelligence is kind of life experience, and I think seeing the world and seeing different cultures and how people operate in different parts of the world is so important and unique for me, and I appreciate it so much, especially as I get older.
And is it difficult for you to live here in Russia, in Yaroslavl?
There's days where things are difficult, but I'm very comfortable. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't comfortable. I get treated very well. People in Yaroslavl are always very nice to me, are always very accommodating to me. The organization is very good to me. And you know, obviously there is some differences in the cultures of Canada and Russia, but so far I've enjoyed my time here.
Before joining Jokerit and KHL, you said, "It is a good experience to have. I'll be able to tell a lot of stories." So can you tell some stories about your life here, some funny stories maybe, or some strange stories?
Yeah, you know, it's, of course, being in a different country is, you're always going to have something that happens. I remember the first time I came to St. Petersburg, I was walking on the street and there's someone walking a duck with a leash.
A duck.
And that was my first experience in St. Petersburg, and I was like, oh, well, where am I? But it's, you could see that anywhere. That could happen in Canada too. But there's so many stories that I've had over the years, and I'm so lucky to be able to have those memories. And when I'm older, I'm sure that my kids will get sick of hearing them.
If you have some problems here, if you have some questions, whom do you call the first?
Well, I think that kind of comes back to your inner circle and the people that you trust. You have your support system, and those are the people you rely on when times are tough or when times are good. And when something good happens, you want to share them with the people that you trust. And when something bad happens, you want to rely on them to help you out. And, I have those people. It's mostly my family and my friends, and anytime that something happens, they're always there for me, and I appreciate that.
And if you have some problems with Russian language, for example, if somebody can't understand you and you should solve it right now, so whom will you call at this situation?
Yeah, probably someone from the team. I know Cronwall speaks very good Russian.
Russian.
So I would maybe talk to him, and then we have a translator on our team, and maybe give him a call next.
Half year ago, you told that you are trying to develop your Russian language, and you repeated it today during the interview. And I know that you have some kind of mobile application with the Russian language. So can you tell me what is your success in this learning?
It's getting better every day. It's a slow process. I think the biggest thing is trying to learn it when you're not tired. Some days after practice or a game, you're pretty exhausted, and you kind of try and do the studying, and it just nothing kind of takes in. But it's important to stick with it, and I try and do it every day. That's my biggest thing, is I try and do a little bit every day. And I'm getting better. I can understand more, and I'm getting more confident. So that's kind of the goal for me. Being in this country, I think it's important to adapt to the culture here. They speak Russian, so for me, I would say it would be almost disrespectful to not try and learn the language.
And what are the last words which you learned, Russian words?
The last ones, I'm not sure what the last ones were, but I hear a lot of bad words. Those ones are always easy to pick up, but it's like I said, it's getting better. I'm starting to understand more.
What kind of gifts or souvenirs you usually take to Canada, to the United States, to your friends from here? I mean, Russian, something special Russian.
So far, I haven't really taken a whole lot back. When you travel all the way back, you try and keep it light. I try and have the least amount of bags as I can, but I'm sure when I'm done playing here, I'll take some stuff back home.
It is said that Russian women are the most beautiful in the world. Do you agree with this sentence?
I mean, I can't argue with it. The Russian women are very beautiful, and it's nice to be around.
I know that some Russian football players who came from abroad, they have Russian wives now. For example, Naboa, Ari, Wilkshire. So they played here and married Russian girls. Will you stay here in Russia until you marry a Russian girl?
I think I'll just focus on getting a girlfriend before I start thinking about getting married.
Brandon, once you told that your hobby is to play a guitar. So do you practice here in Russia?
Yeah, that's kind of another thing I do on my free time. For me, the guitar is very therapeutical. It's a way to turn my brain off. When in the job we do, the brain's kind of moving all the time, and for me, I kind of get home and I play a little bit, and kind of relaxes me and settles me down a little bit. And it's always something that's kind of been an interest of mine. And music is very important, and Yeah, I tend to play a little bit.
Can you play something now?
I don't have a guitar.
We have a guitar.
Oh my god, okay. This is out of tune. This is very out of tune. You might need to tune this, or else it won't sound good.
If you really need it, you can. Bravo!
It's a little out of tune though, so it probably doesn't sound very good.
Brandon, I have a flash interview for you, so I will ask quick question and you should give a quick answer. Gold medal in Winter Olympics or Gagarin Cup?
That's a tough one. How about both?
To be a 6-minute guy with a Stanley Cup or to be the top forwarder without any title?
With the Stanley Cup.
Mayweather or McGregor?
Mayweather.
Trump or Obama?
Obama.
Stark or Lannister?
Stark.
Okay, thank you a lot for your answers. And at the final, we have a contest for our audience, for our spectators. We would like to ask our spectators to advise Brandon some Russian music, some good Russian music, and explain why he should listen this music in his car maybe, or at home, or whatever. And Brandon has a present for the winner. It is a cap. So please put likes, subscribe our Instagram account, look our videos. Brandon will choose the best answer and he will give his cap as a present to the winner. So Brandon, thank you very much for your time.
Спасибо.
It was very nice to meet you.